Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Today I'm looking at some old-fashioned rolling stock from Bachmann. Today then I'm looking at some of what Bachmann calls their old-time rolling stock. So wagons and things from the late 1800s, early 1900s, that kind of period. And I personally just love this stuff. It's always so unusual looking, quite eccentric, always really good fun, charming and just enjoyable to have. In fact, my absolute favourite from this range is still that blacksmith's car. Just a wonderfully detailed and fun piece of rolling stock, and if you'd like to see a review of that, I'll pop a link up there for you. Well, today I'm looking at two more pieces of rolling stock from that range, and they are here. So I've got an old-time tanker wagon and an old-time Derrick car. And I thought I'd review these together today, and to make things a bit more interesting, I thought I would kind of pit them against each other to see which one is going to get the better score at the end. So for a bit of a prediction early on, I think it's going to be the Derrick car. I reckon I'm really going to enjoy that one. So in terms of the full prices, the tank car here, this has a full price of $47 from Bachmann, and then the Derrick car is actually a little bit cheaper, which I wasn't expecting, at $45. However, I paid the same price for both of these from Train World at $29.99, which works out at just less than £23. So compared with some of British prices these days, I think that seems very reasonable. And a little shout out to Train World there. I do use those quite a lot for my American model purchases. But let's see what these two models are like, and let's see which of the two I end up preferring. Okay, let's get started. Alright, more Bachmann old-time rolling stock, and Bachmann do mention that these are ideal to run with their 440 locomotives, which is handy because I do have one of those. But anyway, let's get started. We'll take a look at the tank to start with, and look at this thing. Look how old-fashioned this looks. I love the kind of assembly that's up on top of the tank as well. That kind of gives it an old-fashioned look as well. Anyway, let me briefly show you the end of the box. So the product code for this is 72108. It is HO scale, it's an old-time tank car in the Union Tank Line livery. I don't think I've got anything else from that railroad. And it's number 7714, and that's all there is to see. So let's pull this out and see what this is like. Looking for weight, quality, and of course detail and finish and that kind of thing. So no accessories. That's fairly typical for stuff like this. Oh, we've got one unwanted accessory though. I can see that. Well, I mean, we need it, but it's supposed to be fitted to the model. And that is this axle. Oh dear. So hopefully that's just popped out of place in transit. Obviously I've had this shipped over from the States, and hopefully the bogie itself isn't damaged. Let's take a look. And here it is, the tank car. And yeah, compared with, what was that horrible, horrible tank car I looked at that time? I think that was from Model Power or something like that. Yeah, compared with that, this looks miles better. This is what that tank should have been like. Yeah, quite a bit of detail to it, quite a few separate parts, nicely finished and painted too, of course. We'll look at this a little bit more in just a second, and I'll put the wheels back on it too. Let's take a look at the other wagon I've got today though, and I'm trying not to show favouritism towards either of them at this point, but I have to say, looking at the box, this one gets me tingling the most. Is that weird? Yeah, that's weird. Okay, end of the box then. So this one is the HO Old Time Maintenance of the Way. That's in the same vein as that blacksmith car I looked at. This one's the Derrick car. It's in the Virginia and Truckee Railroad livery, and it's item number 16416. All right, looking forward to this one. It's obviously got this kind of crane on board, which looks quite complex. I don't think it's functioning, but it does look nice. It does look very, very old-fashioned and strange, doesn't it? Look at that. Okay, slightly different packaging design, but it's still taped up. So let's undo that. Got it. Okay. Well, the wheels all seem to be fixed on, so yeah, this one's the winner so far. Let's lift this up. Oh, wow. Oof. God, that's heavy. That's heavier than the tanker. I thought, well, I'm going to pop them on the scales, compare them, the tanker's going to win that one. Nope, I think this is going to win it. So the actual kind of outer body of the wagon itself is not die cast, but looking underneath, there's a huge metal block underlaying the whole body, which makes it really, really weighty. And then the crane assembly is on a sort of separate base that's been fitted, and that base is die cast metal as well. So yeah, competition over. I like this Derrick car the best. And we've got the crane itself, or the Derrick, I don't know, that rotates and moves as well. Oh, and it's removable. Oh, this is the best. Look at that, it's held on with a magnet, so you can remove it at your leisure, and then you've just got a regular sort of flatbed that you can run if you want. Oh, that's great. You see, what is it? Why are these maintenance of the way vehicles so damn brilliant? They just are, aren't they? So I really enjoy this, but the tanker looks good as well. Let's get these onto the scales and let's see which is the heaviest. Place your bets. I think I've already spoiled the surprise. Okay, I think I can guess which is the heaviest, but we'll start with the tank. That comes in at 74 grams, which, yeah, is fair enough. I mean, it's got a lot of wheels, so it's not a huge amount per wheel, but yeah, it seems to be okay. Let's try the Derrick car. Oh, I'm sure that's going to be more. Oh, yes, it is. 103 grams. Blimey. How did they do that? I mean, it's almost a bit like an optical illusion, isn't it? We've got the big, thick, chunky tanker weighing much less than the tiny flatbed with a spindly little crane on it. Yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, the difference between these two models, I mean, I've got open wagons that weigh less than the difference between these two. So yeah, this is fantastic quality, very, very heavy and sturdy, and also free rolling, as you can see. Okay, let's take a look at some of the details. And to be fair to the tank, it has been done really nicely. The decoration is great, lovely finish on the tank itself, and there's a fair bit of print work on, yes, the tank, but also the chassis as well, which looks great. We've also got this wood effect on the side of the chassis slash sole bar, which is there also on the Derrick car, but I think it's been done slightly better here. Really, really good effect. Also, the underframe is the best on this as well. You've got the planking and the brake rigging as well, and of course these struts on the underframe as well, which are all separately fitted, so that's great. Here's a look at the bogies. Nice metal wheels, now that they've been put back into place, of course. Yeah, decent moulding on the bogies, even though they are a little bit simple. The tank itself is adorned with lots of wire handrails, which are all excellently fitted and nice and straight. I wonder how many there are. 2, 4, 5, there's at least 6. So this is pretty complex for sort of less than £25, that's what I paid. Turning wheel on the end here, this is a little bit chunkier than the one on the Derrick car, but it still looks, I suppose, reasonably realistic. And then we've got this whole sort of, is this where you would fill the tank? Assembly on the top. Great bit of moulding on this, and of course very unusual looking. In fact, the whole profile of the tank is very strange, which I like a lot. And then we've got the Bachmann Easy Mate style couplings, which I think are going to be the same on both models. So plastic construction, but usually quite functional. Okay, hopefully that's a good look at this model. Let's move on and talk about the Derrick car. And yeah, I paid the same amount of money for this thing. And in fact, in terms of RRP, this is slightly cheaper. And so yeah, you get loads more for your money here, loads more. Lots of decoration on the side of the wagon itself. You've got the number there and the Virginia and Truckee lettering. Bogies are different colour, which I like a lot, and I think there is a little bit more moulded detail on those bogies, which is good. We've got the wooden effect on the top of the planks here, which looks great, but the underframe is much simpler. It's just a kind of die-cast block, although we have got this box with the struts attached to it on the underframe, so it's not free of detail down there, but there's definitely not quite as much. The turning wheel here has a metal stem instead of a plastic one, and it looks a little bit finer, I would say. And then of course we've got the main feature, which is this crane assembly, which I love because you can take it off the flatbed and you can reposition it. There's little pegs that go into these holes along the flatbed, which means you can choose where the crane goes. That is fantastic. We've got these blocks, I suppose these are supposed to be beams. Would have been nice to have seen a bit of a wood effect on these perhaps, because they're just sort of oblongs, aren't they? But then we've got the crane itself, which is fully rotatable, as you can see. That is just great, and it looks like it has been designed so that you can raise and lower the hook. Yeah, this spool can be rotated, but the hook is actually glued in place there. The string can't lower it. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but I suppose that's just to avoid it getting all tangled up. In terms of the way it looks though, it is amazing, absolutely brilliant. For less than £23, very, very impressed with this. And the thing I really like about it is that the crane piece rotates while the top and bottom stay still. I just think that's marvellously complex looking and very realistic. So I don't know which is best on detail. Oh, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously much more complex, but it doesn't have such a good wood effect and it doesn't have the underframe detail. So I think they probably balance out quite well. Comment down below and let me know which you think is the best. But for now, let's move on to performance. Let's get these onto the track and see if any one in particular is better than the other. Okay, well, let's start with the free rolling test then. Let's see which one gets the furthest down Gordon's Hill. So a little bit of a prod. Try the tanker first. Doesn't seem brilliant, but it's going. Yep. And it's stopping. So it's not really building up any speed, is it? Give it the benefit of the doubt, give it a little help. Okay. Well, that's not great. So I reckon the Derrick car should be able to beat that quite easily. Let's put that on then. Alright, here it comes, and already I can tell it's a smoother ride. Look at that. Needs no persuading. Off it goes. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, the answer is obvious. It's definitely the Derrick car, making it right down to the first of the curves. So I think, yeah, that's black and white, very easy to tell which is best there. So here's what I've set up to test these new wagons. I've chosen the 440 because Bachmann suggested that these were suitable for the old-time rolling stock. This one's the modern one with the sound, so you'll hear that in just a second. Literally. Oh, sounds like a monkey in a zoo, but it's not. It's supposed to be a whistle. And I've also added the blacksmith's car at the back, which interestingly appears to be the same base model as my Derrick car, just with obviously different scenery fitted to it. Then of course I've got my two new wagons here, and we're going to test the couplings on them right now. So I'm going to back up the 440, which is just cut out immediately. Not run this for a little while, and it's cut out again. I tested it a second ago and it was fine. Maybe it just needs to be a bit quicker. Come on, goodness sake. Oh, what's the matter with it? Golly. Should be alright once I get it up to speed. Right, I think it did couple. Let's angle the camera slightly, see if we can get that other piece. There we go, okay. And forwards we go. Let's see how it all gets on around the track. Hopefully no derailments. Oh, but we have got another cutout. This is really irritating. This was fine a second ago, and now I'm filming, it's not. At higher speed it should be though. Okay. Alright, I think we're off. Okay, here we go. Slightly annoying, isn't it, the sound of that loco? But I'll try and not focus on that and keep an eye on these wagons. We're coming up to the second radius curves now. Any derailments? Not yet. No. So performance, apart from the free rolling issue, seems to be equally good on both wagons at the moment. And what a cool train this looks. Oh, I do like these. I mean, the tanker looks a bit out of place. I would love to get some more of these maintenance of the way wagons though. So are there any more? I feel like there can't just be these two. There must be others. So what else is available, if you know? Please do comment down below, and if there's anything else you'd like to see me cover, also let me know, because like I say, every time without fail, I love these things. Alright, the final performance test then is the points test. So I'm going to back the whole train, I guess, over these points, make sure nothing derails, and if something does, I'll be chopping away points from it. Oops, didn't stop the loco entirely. Right. Let's go quite quickly then, mainly so the loco doesn't stop. It's about the sort of speed I usually do it, to be fair. And in reverse, we're all fine. in forwards. The logo's dead. Oh, I just happened to stop it directly on the point, didn't I? Fair enough. Well, let's move it forwards. No reflection on the wagons, of course. Yeah, they're absolutely fine. So, they pass with flying colours. Very nice. And with that, let's do some ratings then, and we'll start with the tanker. So, level of detail, I've decided to give 4-star. On the whole, it's a really impressive model. The moulded detail is fantastic. I love that wood effect that it's got, but it's also pretty complex on the underframe, lots of separate parts there, metal handrails all over it. Really, really impressive. Great decoration and finish as well. It does just look a little bit chunky in places, and particularly compared with the Derrick car, yeah, it doesn't look quite as refined as that, I think, which is why it doesn't get 5-star, but otherwise, yeah, very well detailed. Performance is absolutely fine, it's great over points, the couplings work just fine as well, but it's not as free rolling as the Derrick car was. Pretty disappointed on that front, so I have knocked it off a star. The quality, again, is really good. I've given it 4-star like I have in every category. Great build quality, no visible glue, no scuffs or anything like that, but it is quite light and plasticky, and even the chassis is made of plastic, so it does lose a star for that. Value for money then, the full price is $47, which I think is a bit expensive for what you get here. However, I bought mine from Train World for $29.99, nice little discount there, which makes it cost just less than £23. That's absolutely fine, I think, so 4-star. Overall then, that is 8 out of 10, which is a grade of C. Yeah, it's an absolutely fine piece of rolling stock. And into the logbook it goes, where it is 4th place, above the Hornby Mark IIIs and below the Hornby TTAs. Moving on to the Derrick car though, this is a slightly different story. Level of detail, I've given the same mark, 4-star. It is a more complex model, this. The crane in particular has quite a lot of complexity to it. The moulded detail is just as good, the finish and the paintwork is just as good as well, but the underframe isn't quite as detailed, so I think it gets the same mark on detail, but for slightly different reasons. Performance though is better than the tank, I think. It is more free rolling, which is why it gets the better score, yet the couplings and performance over curves and points is exactly the same, so it does deserve an extra star there, I think. Quality again is slightly better. Build quality just as good, quality of the paintwork, no visible glue, all of this is exactly the same, except it's much heavier and has much more die cast on board. Heavy metal construction makes the model feel much, much better in my opinion, so it does get an extra star for that, 5-star on quality. Value for money then, this is slightly cheaper at the full price. It only costs $45 instead of $47, and you actually get more for your money here. So yeah, the value is better, although I did pay the same price, $29.99, but even so, at the same price, you do get more for your money, so 5-star for that. So yeah, I do think overall this is the better model, and the score does reflect that, 9.29 out of 10, which is a grade of A. Yeah, very well deserved. I believe the blacksmith car I reviewed also got a very high score, and they are deserved. So that is a grade of A, like I say. Into the logbook it goes, and it's actually top. Wow, it's the best I've seen this year. Not as good, I don't think, as the R&R crane by Bachmann. However, this is better quality, it's sturdier, and of course it's much more affordable and better value. So those are my scores. What do you think about them? Do you agree? Do you not? Do comment down below. Alright folks, well that will just about do it for this review. I hope you enjoyed seeing a couple of models for a change this time. That was a good bit of fun. And I think my winner is obviously clear. I think the Derrick car is the best of these two models. But do you agree? Perhaps you look for other qualities in models. Maybe you think the tanker is the best of the two. So if you agree with me, or if you don't, let me know, and I'd love to see your thoughts. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one very, very soon. All right, cheers folks, you take care.